Good morning. This is Faith in Our Hometown, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin. And now, here is your host, Father Jay Friedel.
Good morning and welcome, or I hope welcome back to Faith in Our Hometown, our regular weekly conversation about different events that impact us as people of faith here in the greater Joplin area. My guest this morning is going to be Teddy Steen. Teddy is the director of the Circles Initiative, which is an initiative through the United Way. One of the things that is very true about our area is that we do a lot of work for a lot of people who need us to do some things for them. And United Way is one of those ways of doing that. We do it through our churches, we do it through other civic organizations and agencies, and this is one of them. So this morning we're going to be talking about what the Circles program is, what it does, how that works in our community, and we're going to be right back in a few moments with Teddy to talk about all of that and what Circles does for us. So we'll be right back after this Mercy Minute. Thanks for joining us this morning.
If there's a family history of breast cancer, especially breast cancer at an early age, that's a very high risk factor for breast cancer, and those patients should have early surveillance and should be aware of some of the signs and symptoms of early breast cancer. Other risk factors would include maintaining an optimal weight. If one carries excess weight, that increases baseline estrogen levels, and that seems to increase the risk of breast cancer. Those would be the main risk factors.
And welcome back to Faith in Our Hometown. Again, my guest this morning is Teddy Steen, who's the director of the Circles program here in our area. So Teddy, tell us a little bit about Circles. It's one of those groups that does good, but a lot of people may not have heard about it. So tell us what you do.
All right, Circles is a nationwide organization, and it is to alleviate poverty. Okay. It's a little bit different than it's not for people in crisis.
Right.
It is designed for people who are working themselves out of poverty and they're fairly stable. For instance, if you have a substance abuse issue, you've been sober for 6 months to a year. If you have mental health issues, you're on medication and stabilized. It's not for people that are in domestic situations right at this moment. It's a program that we take people and through relationships and social capital and leadership training, prepare them to work their way themselves out of poverty.
Which is wonderful. And I think that that's a value that we hold pretty dear here in the Joplin area.
Yes, it is.
I mean, Joplin folks are just kind of like, okay, we're going to help you, but you better be doing something on your own. You better be showing us that you're working with us. We're not going to do this for you, but we're going to help you as you do it. And I think that that's one of those good old, Midwestern, local values that we do our thing. So,
it works.
Well, and I'm glad, because that's really what we want is, sometimes people need just a little bit of help to turn that corner. Maybe they don't have all the right skills or all that they need in order to, because they were never taught those things.
You're exactly right. There's a lot of generational poverty here in our town, and even situational. And what we find is a lot of it is in a mindset. You've got to change that mindset before you can change your behavior. And so we have what we call a 16-week leadership training classes. The people that are in our program are called leaders because they are going to be the ones that will lead themselves out of poverty. The people that come alongside them are allies. And that's just an intentional friendship where we will share our social network with them, we'll share our life with them. And it's a two-way street because people in poverty have a lot to teach a lot of us too. They've got a lot of things that just your average, normal, everyday person has never had to face, has never had to go through. So we hope that this becomes a way for the people in our community to raise their poverty IQ, and then the people that are in poverty can start building a social network and relationships and we're trying to figure out our sameness, not our differences.
Well, that's always, as far as I'm concerned, the best place to start.
Exactly.
You know, because I do that when I go to preach. You
Exactly.
know, if I'm only going at it from the ways that I'm different, I'm going to run out of things to say pretty quick.
You're right.
And I haven't run out of things to say yet. Okay, so that's a good thing.
Me either.
So, in terms of that, how does one get referred to your programs? How does one get started in something like this?
What we do, we hold probably 2 classes a year because this is a 22-month program, almost a 2-year program.
Okay.
They start out and we just started a class and it's going to finish up at the end of July, and we'll start another one in October. We get referrals we work with Habitat for Humanity, God's Resort. I'm the executive director for Ascent Recovery Residences. Mine's a year-long substance abuse program, and when they graduate from that program, I tell them to go get their master's degree in circles because they're ready, they're stable, they've usually have a job. And then
so they're referred to you many times by other agencies.
Other agencies
other
are
groups
our
that
biggest
basically have helped somebody like turn that corner and just start to get things together, and then you take them into the next phase.
You're exactly
of making sure that they can keep all of it kind of rolling and glued together with the right support.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a support network.
It's exactly a support network, and we don't do for them, we do with them. And it's so, we invite everybody to come. It's at 6 o'clock at St. Paul's every Thursday night. We invite anybody that's interested to come and have dinner with us, because when you walk in that room, you don't know who the allies and who the leaders are. Yeah. You can't tell the difference. There's an energy, there's a laughter, there's fun, there's kids running around everywhere. It's amazing. And then we also provide childcare, but it's not just childcare. We have a children's curriculum that's teaching the children things like integrity, compassion, finances, character
formation.
And so they're learning what their parents are learning.
Well, this is what I want to give a little shout out then to St. Paul's. And of course, Aaron's been on our show, Aaron Brown's been on our show many times.
Oh, yeah.
But this is one of those ways, again, that churches here in our area especially partner with agencies like yours. Again, that's what people of faith, I think and hope are really trying to do, is just say, okay, we can't solve all these things, but if we work with people. So they give you a place to meet, but you're not really part of the church. But they give you a place to meet, a place to have dinner, a place to use as a platform to do the work that you're trying to do.
And I try to use my membership to get as much as I can out of him.
It's all good. It's all good. I have a few people like that in my church too. I understand exactly how that works.
He says I got preacher issues.
Oh, well, there you go. I don't know that anybody that doesn't know a preacher doesn't have some preacher issues, but that's just me. I would say that in terms of those things, we got a lot of those things that happen in the community where, like we'll host something for someone because they need a place.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
And that's what I think people of faith ought to do. I mean, that's part of why we're doing this show. Faith in our hometown. So how do we put it all into practice, and how do we put it all to work? All right, so we know how you get referrals. We know where you're meeting at. So give us a couple ideas, some success stories of some of what you've been doing lately.
Oh my gosh, I just had the very best one. Okay. So there's a young man. He was in trouble with the law, for a long, long time. Oh, wait a minute, am I breaking it? I think we're okay.
No names.
No names. But if people saw the play. Anyway, so he'd been in trouble with the law most of his young adult life, still was when he came to Ascent. He was like in his early 20s, which is very young for our program. But he made it through that. He worked, and then
So he got referred from Ascent
to Circles.
Right, okay.
Went through Circles. And in the meantime, he got another job where he's got benefits, and he's just got all this stuff going for him. He's got a home. He has everything going. And then he's been graduated from Circles for quite some time. He came on our board until his employment he couldn't do it right now, but he'll be glad to speak for us. But this weekend he's starting the play at the Joplin Little Theater.
Oh, well, there you go. So it's just all kinds of, it's making those things. So now there was somebody who used to struggle with how he was going to fit into the community. And now, not only is he fitting into the community, but he's entertaining the community.
Exactly.
As a part of things.
It's amazing. I mean, and that's just one.
Yeah, that's just one little success story.
And we have another kid that their family came in, and he was working at a place. Well, now he's the general manager of that place.
See, that's great.
I mean,
because again, that's what I think that so many times, and even church people can get a little judgmental, a little bit, snooty about, well, what are these people doing for themselves? And this is one of those programs that helps those people to figure out how to do it themselves, and the joy and the reward of doing it for themselves.
Exactly.
Sometimes I don't think people understand that, that sometimes the people who have to ask us for something, it's not that they feel like they're entitled. They actually hate it. But some of them don't have any choice,
right?
Especially if they got kids or
exactly.
They're trying to turn them. They've never had the skills or those kinds of things. So tell us. All right. So you've got a program that you said runs 22 months. Okay. Give us an idea of how some of that works. What's some of your curriculum? What are some of the things that you teach?
One of the biggest goals is if we can get people to 200% of the federal poverty guideline, they no longer need government support. And that's the goal financially. So we do the 16-week leadership. Like we said, we teach life skills, we teach financial skills, budgeting, resumes, jobs and education, and that's kind of in that leadership. Then we go on to, when they graduate, then we match them. They each have 2 allies. Each leader has 2 allies that come alongside them, and they work on their plan because they have built their future plans. What do you want in the next year or so? How do you want your life to look? Let's work on this.
So, let's say I am not an ally, but a
leader?
A leader. Say I'm a leader, and so I'm working on my plan with you. Okay, so I'm getting my thing ready. So say I need reliable transportation. Would that be like one of those things? Say, okay, I need to, if I'm going to get to my job, my car's really lousy, and I need reliable transportation so that I can get to work regularly. So maybe a new vehicle, or or a used vehicle, or something that's going to be reliable would be there. Maybe I am only making X amount of dollars, and I need to increase my income by 30%, because we just had another child or something like that. Okay. Doing those kinds of things. So that's what you mean in terms of a plan.
That's what I mean, and then we're gonna sit there and we're gonna talk about this. What do you think your next step should be? Okay. Because we want them to figure these things out. Now we will share, and we might say, have you ever thought about it this way? The point is that we are empowering them and coaching them in a way to lead themselves. Ruby Payne, a lot of this came from Ruby Payne's theories and the hidden rules of class. And she says that you cannot move from one class to another unless you start thinking like the class you want to be in. So if you're in poverty and you want to be in middle class, you need somehow for your thought processes to think about the things that the people in the middle, like saving and moving forward. Where a lot of times when you're in poverty, your mindset is right now, because you're living from moment to moment, from crisis to crisis. You can't think about the future. That is just way too far out there sometimes. It's real interesting how that works. Just like with me, I'm middle class. I thought, well, and when you read in The Wealthy, I worked for Cable One for many, many years as I was getting ready to do. I'm a recovering addict too. 29 years of sobriety. So, and they hired me at Cable One like about a month and a half out of treatment. They took a big chance. But anyway, I was there 24 years. So.
Well, hang on. Hang on. What are we going to do here? I'm going to get back to your story in just a second. Yeah. This is pretty fascinating to me. But we need to take a little bit of break, and we are going to be right back. This is Faith in Our Hometown. We're here with Teddy Steen this morning.
You're watching Faith in Our Hometown on KSN TV, brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.
Welcome back to Faith in Our Hometown. My guest this morning is Teddy Steen, and we took a break here while we were just talking a little bit about your own story.
Yeah.
And this is why you're probably a pretty good coach, okay? So you were talking about the fact that you were an addict and you've been through recovery, which makes perfect sense why you're running and helping to run a recovery center. But this morning we're also talking about Circles, which is this coaching program that you have for all these other folks. And so you were talking about the fact that you, had just gotten a job right out of recovery. And they were really taking a big chance. They had no idea what they were getting into. But at that point in time, because you had some of those people to help you, you were able to keep it all going.
You're exactly
and here you are
right.
29 years later.
29
and again,
years
congratulations.
Later. Thank you.
It's great, you know?
And I had that family support, and I had the support of the man I worked for. I had a great boss that coached me through a lot of these things, and I was accountable to him to stay sober. Not only him, not only my family and my daughter, but him too. So I had a whole network of people that were counting on me to be accountable.
Yeah.
So that really helped me a lot. But anyway, I went on a lot of trips.
That's one of the reasons why we have faith communities.
Yes.
Some of it's about accountability. Some of it's about how do I help you to do this. I mean, I hear a lot of people, because we're also here in this area so ruggedly independent. Well, I'm going to do this by myself. But of course you have to rely on, where's that drive going to come from? It's got to come from here. But by the very same token, that accountability helps everybody in that web of relationships to keep myself going the way I need to, even if I don't want to get out of bed in the morning and go to work, but I also realize that I'm responsible to this person over here.
Exactly.
And they need me to get out of bed and go to work so that I can keep my job and pay the bills and do all those things.
Exactly, and that's part of this whole deal.
Yeah.
So,
you were doing traveling. I'm sorry.
I'm traveling. Yeah. Okay, we're at the hidden rules of class. See, I'm ADHD. You got it.
Okay, I got you. I'm with you.
Can't focus.
Traveling.
So, we'd eat at these fancy restaurants, and I would wonder, they'd give you this little piece of meat, and it was all prettied up, and the plate was just, you could see too much of the plate. And I'm like, this is really pretty, but this is not, why are they spending this kind of money on this? Well, I found out when I looked at the hidden rules of class and talked about food. And for people in poverty, it was the quantity. For middle class, it was the quality. For the wealthy, it was the presentation. And it dawned on me, I was in these high-class restaurants. It was all about how this food looked. I'm a middle-class person. I wanted it to taste good and be plenty for me,
Right.
It was just interesting. And so I learned a whole lot about, because I always thought the poverty mindset was just substance abuse mindset. It's virtually, so I'm thinking, but what happens is when we are, because poverty is all kinds of things.
Sure it is.
There's poverty in all ways, and when you are in the depths of your substance abuse, you're in poverty, and you start thinking minute to minute, crisis to crisis.
Yeah, and again, it's sometimes so hard for people because, like, for example, I've never been poor.
Yeah.
And I'm never going to be poor.
Yeah, me either.
I've got an education, which means that I'll always be able to, pretty much, fend for myself. I've got words and how to use them. I could talk my way into a lot of things. I do all that stuff. I'm never going to have to worry about that. And so many people in a position like mine don't even know how to relate to the folks who have never learned any of that stuff. We take even the ability to hold a job and to have a job. We take that for granted.
You're exactly
because
right.
we've done it so well and we've done it fairly easily.
Yes.
But I've never had to worry about where my next meal was coming from. Can you tell?
Me either.
But I've never had to worry about those things. My parents, taught me a lot of those lessons.
Exactly.
They made me work. They made me work for some of the things that I wanted. I didn't have to work for anything I needed, but I had to work for some of the things I wanted.
Exactly.
And how to do some of those things. And so they were training me up in ways that I never even realized they were training me up until I got much older. And then I suddenly, start mentoring college students and realizing, okay, you need to be trained up too.
Exactly.
Or, sometimes our folks that come to us for a little bit of assistance, we got to help train them up too.
Instead of handing them out money all the time.
And again, because, let's face it, I don't have a lot to, and I also don't have a lot to hand out.
Yeah.
I can feed people, but
exactly.
I can't take care of all of those other needs.
No, and they've got to learn.
And they've got to learn how to do that, which is wonderful, which is why I love programs like Circles, because in that, again, we're helping them to make their own choices. We're helping them to feel good about the choices they're making. We're helping them to see some of the other things that they can do to make it better for themselves and to keep their mindset moving forward for them along the goals that they set. Not even what I think that they need, but what they think that they need.
And I got one more real important part of Circles, because this is extremely important, and that's the advocacy piece, because the problem is our system has put a lot of these people, they haven't put them there, but they've kept them there. There's a thing that we call in Circles a cliff effect, and they call it a lot different other places. But if you're a single mom, and you have a couple of kids and you're working a minimum wage job, with all the benefits that you're eligible for, you have the spending power of about $21 an hour. Now, if you go up to about $12.50, you say you're moving on up the ladder a little bit and you're trying to achieve, when you hit about $12.50 an hour, they cut off your health care for your kids and they cut off your child care. Those are the last two things to go, and that's what we call the cliff effect, because you lose more than you make. There's no way. So you've got this gap of $12.50 to $21 that you've lost in spending power. Now, people see that as people wanting to stay on the system. I see that as a business decision. I see that as a business decision.
Okay, well, here we go. Now we're hitting a lot of our viewers exactly where they live, because a lot of them are business people, and this is good.
It's a business
I love that.
decision.
I keep explaining this because I think it's important for people to understand this to some degree.
It is, and they cannot afford to get off of the system. So what we do at Circles, this is a huge part. For one thing, we've got to change the system if we really want things to change. We call it a cliff because they fall off a cliff. We would like it for it to be more of a hill, so they slope off. So maybe they pay for a little more as their income goes up, but they don't just lose it altogether. So, oh my goodness, I'm going to make say I'm going to make 50 cents. I'm going to make $140 more a month, and I'm going to lose $400 worth of child care. Doesn't make sense for me to do that.
Right.
And a lot of times it doesn't make sense for even these women to work, because they could stay home and raise their kids if they want to. And then you've got the people, and now this is a little bit, but you've got the people in the social services who have a college degree and they don't make any money for what they're doing. So actually the people that they're serving have more spending power by far than they do. So that creates that resentment. I've had people come, well, they don't treat me very nice. I said, well, you know, you go in there and you got... It's just the system is, but for the biggest part is that cliff effect. How are they going to get off?
Well, and I can back that up. I mean, I remember years ago when I was pastor out in out in the middle of the southern part of the state, and I had a woman working, and she was cleaning. She was my cleaning for me, one day a week, and she was doing that for several folks, and she was getting to the point where she did that, and she just said, "I have to quit," and I'm like, "Well, why?" She said, "Well, I've started making enough money that now I can't afford to pay for my daughter's medication.
Exactly.
If I keep working, but if I quit, then I'll be able to keep her medication. I can't afford for her not to have medication."
Yeah.
And she said, "I hate it because I actually like working and I feel better about making my own living.
Absolutely.
But how do I do some of that stuff?" So she was, all of a sudden,
That's
it was just
exactly what I'm talking about.
And I had never, I never even contemplated it before because I'd never been in that situation. I'd never had kids who were sick. I'd never been in that situation. And again, it's so hard sometimes for people who do work hard and run businesses and do all that stuff, because they're just like, well, why doesn't this work?
Yeah.
So again, how do we fix the system? Now that's a whole different show.
That's a whole different, and that's just a part of our Circles is an advocacy piece. But right now we're doing what we can in our community. And we need our community to come around because it's working. I mean, these people are getting better jobs. What we're trying to do is get 10% of the people in our community out of poverty, which creates a tipping point. That's that scientific tipping point is 10%. When things just start rolling and somebody says, wow, something's working. What is it? And then everybody kind of gets on board and things start rolling, because we're already seeing that. We're seeing that. We've just now, Circles is a fairly young program, and here we're the first one in the state of Missouri.
Okay.
I think Springfield's going to get one next.
Okay.
But so our data, we're starting to keep our data really well right now, just so that we can see outcomes. But I know a bunch of people. That have already gotten jobs with insurance. I mean, that's huge.
That is huge.
That's huge for these for the people that have. I mean, I'm thinking they're going from prison to getting jobs with insurance. And some of these from Ascent, and they get out and they've got the one job, but they've come to Circles, and Circles has given them the esteem to go out and try something. Take a little bit of a risk. Go apply somewhere. Yeah. And it's also given them the connections.
So let me ask this question, because we're going to start to run out of time here.
I know.
But so all right, so some of your funding comes through United Way. And that
No, not through United Way.
All right. So where's your funding come from?
Well,
you got 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. It started out with the tornado funding.
Okay.
The Long-Term Recovery
Good.
Committee wanted something that was proven to help with poverty for long-term recovery.
I approve. This is good.
And that came from the community clinic.
No.
Community Foundation.
That's a different. Yes. Community Foundation.
And so then the United Way houses us and gives us office space and is behind us, but they don't actually fund us.
Okay.
So I got to raise money, Father Jay.
All right. Well, somebody wanted to make a donation. Tell us real quick how if somebody wanted to help this or to help your organization, who would they contact?
They would contact me at the United Way.
Okay.
And
so your offices are at the United Way.
At the United Way.
Okay. Well,
and
that's
it's
good.
Teddy at the United Way.
Teddy at the United Way.
And you can go on our website. It's www. Never mind.
No, go ahead.
Okay. www.circlesjoplin.org.
And we are going to be right back after this Mercy Minute.
I thought about bariatric surgery because the struggles I've had with my weight all my life. Every time I tried a new fad diet or a new diet, it seems like I always put back more weight on than I lost. And then, of course, that leads to a very downward cycle of being very hard on yourself, being very depressed. It's been amazing. I mean, it's been shocking. I feel like a whole new person, inside and out. It's just not with the surgery, but also with the care team and everything involved. The dietitian, the therapy, and everything has been. I feel reborn. I'm able to do things that I want to do. I'm not held back by my weight. I'm not held back by my depression. I'm not held back by emotional weight and physical weight I was carrying around. I feel free. I feel like I can do anything.
Hi, I'm Father Jay Friedel. Welcome back to Faith in Our Hometown. This morning we've been talking about one of our local programs here, Circles, that got started from, tornado relief funds because we wanted to make a difference in terms of helping people turn their lives around. Wonderful. So through the Community Foundation, got this thing started. United Way gives them office space. St. Paul's United Methodist gives them a place to meet. But they've got to raise their own money. So, because they're trying to mentor and help people who are getting ready to turn that corner and turn it in such a way that they're going to get themselves out of poverty and keep themselves out of poverty. Wonderful success stories that we heard this morning. Now, this is the way a community, as far as I'm concerned, is supposed to work. We've got people of faith working together. We've got people of, social service agencies working together. We've got the community working together. This is the way these things are supposed to work. So this is one of our success stories, the Circles program, and this is all about faith in our hometown.
Thanks for watching. Faith in Our Hometown can be seen Sunday mornings at 6:30 and 9 a.m. on KSN. Brought to you as a community service and sponsored by Mercy Hospital, Joplin.